Welcome to another episode of The Modern Hotelier. Today we are joined by Colin Hughes from Virgin Voyages. David, what were some of your favorite takeaways from this conversation?
Yeah, he was a great guy. He really kind of just drives home why Virgin is so successful. And, going in, I didn't know how I was going to feel. Coming out, I want to get on a cruise, a Virgin cruise. So he got me excited about going on a Virgin Voyages cruise.
I agree with you. I've never been on a cruise, but man, am I excited about it now. I just loved how he talked about the sailor experience, right?
Yeah.
Which that's what they call their guests, but talking about the experiences that they have and how they've really thought about the sailor experience being less stressful. Once you arrive on these ships, it seems like everything's included. You don't have to worry about tipping.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about food, and the dining options sound incredible along with the entertainment. David, I think we got to go on a cruise. That's my big takeaway from this episode.
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the episode and let us know what you think.
Enjoy it. Welcome to the Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. I'm David Malilly.
I'm Steve Karen.
And I'm John Boomhofer.
Steve, who do we have on the program today?
Yeah, David. Today we have on Colin Hughes. Colin is the Director of Operations and Experiences at Virgin Voyages. Colin focuses on the end-to-end sailor journey and maximize onboard revenue opportunities to drive experience and profitability. Welcome to the show, Colin.
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure being here.
Excited to have you.
Thanks for joining us. So we're going to go through a lightning round. We're going to get to know you a little bit better, your background, your career, and then we're going to jump into some industry topics. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thanks, David.
What's something you wish you were better at?
Staying in one place.
Okay. What's the most used app on your phone?
WhatsApp.
What's a luxury you can't live without?
Experience.
What keeps you up at night?
Nothing. I'm a very chilled guy.
What's the best piece of advice you've received?
If you're talking, you're not learning.
That's good advice. What's your favorite song or your favorite band?
Favorite song or favorite band? I have to go with a Virgin one.
Got it. All right, cool. That's it.
Very
Great.
good, very good. Well done, Colin. So now we're going to go into your background a little bit about what makes you tick. So in 2019, you became the first U.S. citizen of your family.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you originally grow up?
I grew up in Manchester in England.
Oh, very cool. Very. How did growing up in Manchester shape you into who you are today?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a lot of good mentors around me. I have a beautiful family, and I always wanted to travel all the time. I tried to leave when I was 16. My mum pulled me back. I tried to join Royal Caribbean when I was 18, and they said, come back when you're 21. And then I got to join a ship on my 21st birthday.
Wow.
So it was interesting. I love Manchester. I go back maybe once, twice a year. But it shapes you up to appreciate your surroundings. Like, for instance, I live in Florida. It's beautiful weather all year round, and I'm blessed.
That's great. So did you go to university or did you just jump right into working?
I went to business and finance, and I did like a course in college. And then after a year, I decided I got into how do I get to travel? And I spoke to some people. They said they were doing casinos. So then I jumped into the casino business, and then I joined ships when I was 21. So I guess I was just trying to travel, enjoy the world.
That's awesome. So this is one question I gotta ask, just because I really look up to Richard Branson as an entrepreneur, and he has obviously built a pretty awesome empire. I'm assuming you've met Richard on cruise ships or anything like that. Do you have a favorite Richard Branson story, or if not, maybe a favorite cruise story?
Yeah. So when I first met Richard, we were still building the ships, and we'd signed with the Port of Miami that we were going to build the terminal in partnership. So we went to the Standard Hotel in South Beach. And if you ever wear a tie, Richard Branson cuts it off. So he
Really?
cut off the mayor of Miami's tie. Uh, and then I took a book Richard Branson book for him to sign. And overnight, my son at the time was like 2 years old. He did like a drawing in the book, like a circle. So
Mhm.
Richard put in there to Harry, nice drawing. And Harry's like
Uh,
9 years old now, and he's still working out who Richard Branson is.
that is awesome. That is great. So now we're going to dive into a little bit more about your career, how you got to working at Virgin Voyages. So before you started working on cruise ships, you mentioned you always wanted to get into travel. What were some of the jobs you worked before your 21st birthday working on cruise ships?
Mhm. Well, before I went to cruise ships, what did I do?
Yeah,
Oh, I worked in music stores, in warehouses. I did a little bit of everything just to try and learn as much as I could.
very cool. Very cool.
Great. And so we know that you joined Celebrity Cruise on your 21st birthday. You talked about how you really wanted to travel. How did you end up in the cruise business rather than some other industry that would help you or get you to travel?
Yeah. I ended up in the cruise industry because all they required was 2 years experience.
Right.
So I got the 2 years, and then I listened to all the stories in the break room from people who had lived in the Bahamas, they'd lived in America, they'd lived in different countries, and it was fascinating to listen to them. And that's all I so then basically I thought cruise ship would be a good way to get paid and travel the world.
So in 2018, you joined Virgin Voyages. What made you decide to come to Virgin?
I'd been on the cruise ships for 22 years with Royal Caribbean and Celebrity Cruise Lines, 15 years on board and 7 years in the office. And then when Virgin goes into industries, they always wait for the right opportunity and then disrupt it. And it was just like an opportunity of a lifetime. But to get this job, at the time, it was a manager's job. And I went for an interview with the senior vice president of like food and beverage at the time, the CEO of the company. I'm like, I'm interviewing with some big people here. And then I thought I got the job, and then he said, "You need to go for an interview with the CEO now." And it was interesting because the CEO asked me, "Do we have the right experience?" And I thought, well, I can say yes, you do, and get the job, or I can be honest. And I was super honest. I said, "I think you have a good way there, but you need to do some tweaks here and there, and I would like to maybe have the opportunity to look at the experience and make sure we have the right one for the sailors and for the crew. And so we can make sure that we have this beautiful, epic sea change for all." And I thought, I left the room, I thought, never get the job. And then they called me like 1 week later and I got the opportunity. So it's amazing. Sometimes I would say, be honest, because there might be somebody listening.
That's great. And you said sailors right there. You call your guests on your cruise ship sailors. Is that right? Kind of a little unique thing that Virgin does?
Yeah, it's like the Virgin voice. We call the guests sailors. We call cruises voyages because we find it's more than a cruise. It's a epic experience.
Sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, I when I saw that in the questions, I actually Googled what do they call passengers on cruise ships because I wasn't sure if we had the right terminology. So I'll change something a little later. So you're the director of operations and experience. Can you tell us what your focus is day to day?
hmm Yeah, so I oversee the spa operations, the casino, retail, and tattoo. So what I've done for Virgin is obviously we're building a new ship now, so we look at the new build, we look at the technology for the crew and for how the sailor experiences that. We work with all our partners on revenue opportunities, and then we obviously look at all the sailor surveys, and then we just continue to build. And a great thing about Virgin was we only launched our loyalty program last year. So once your loyalty program's out there, you need to be sure that it's the right one because it's hard to make changes once it's out in the public. So
Mhm.
we was able to keep changing things all the time when we listened to sailors, listened to crew. And that's why we won over 200 awards because we had an amazing opportunity.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, very cool. Now we're going to get more into the industry thoughts question. And I'm really excited about this, Colin. You are the first person we have had on from the cruise industry. So I feel like we have a lot to talk about here. But from the start, Virgin seems to really focus on the unique sailor experience. What makes Virgin Voyages different from your traditional cruise experience, and what can hotels take away from that?
Mhm. So what Virgin does is that they look at the landscape, see what every other cruise line is doing, and is there a gap? So maybe hotels can look at that in their cities and say, is there a gap for an experience? Because you don't want to put too many of the same experiences in the same location. So there was no cruises for adults only. So Virgin said, let's do it. And what's interesting is, like, even I have a kid, a child, but when we leave the child with some family member or some friends, we go and have vacation with everyone else's kids. So this is a place where you can truly be kid free, and that's one of the biggest things that they like. And then we wanted to make it simple for the sailor, to make it like an all inclusive. So when you go on your luxury brands, most of it's all inclusive. But when you go on your like our brands in the middle, like modern luxury, it's basically you pay for it as you go along. So we said, let's do this. Let's include the gratuities and tips because in the ticket price, because people don't really know how much is your tip
Sure.
because people are coming from all over the world. And then we took away the dining restaurants. So generally on cruise lines, you get a big dining room on 3 floors, and you'll go and eat there. And if you want to eat outside of that, then you can book in a like a specialty restaurant, but it's going to cost you X amount. We said, you know what? Let's take away the dining room and let's do specialty restaurants all over the ship, and you get to choose and build your experience of where you want to go. So if you want to go to a steakhouse, you want to go to Mexican, you want to go to, we have this thing called Test Kitchen. It's a really cool experience. And we have many more that you can choose from. So you can do that without worrying about how much it's going to cost me and my family because it's all in the price. We included fitness classes because we feel like that is, should be part of everyday life. If you want to go, enjoy it. If you don't want to go, we have this thing called detox retox. You can party as much as you want, or you can just relax as much as you want. And the biggest thing we did was we give free internet because every cruise line was charging for internet. So we said, well,
Mhm.
let's give the internet for free because that's basically mandatory now. Everybody needs it. And if you want premium, you can obviously upgrade for a price. But we did that. And plus, we give everyone water. We put water machines all over. We don't have like plastic bottles on board. So it's like sustainability.
Nice.
So we encourage people to bring their water bottles with them, or you can purchase it in our shops. We give people soda for free, and we did all this for crew as well. So basically, in your ticket price, it's about $1,000 to $2,000, depending on what you do. And then your for the crew, and like if you're on the internet every day, you were paying like $400 to $600 a month, in internet. So now all we did for crew, it makes them more passionate, it helps them do their job. When they're off work, they can connect with their family or they can play their video games, do what they want to do. And it basically changed it for the whole industry. I think that you could see there were cruise lines looking at how do they do this, but also the crew got benefits across the cruise line world.
It seems like a very stress-free environment for a sailor, and I guess for a crew member as well. When they're off work, they get to relax a little bit, that it's everything's just included.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
So
great.
you touch on a couple of points, but Virgin has a great attention and focus on personalization. So for the sailor journey, start to finish, is there anything in there from a personalization side that we need to know about?
For personalization, we have lots of opportunities for you. We have because Virgin's all about different experiences. We just had one now. We called it Celebration Cruise. Sir Richard Branson goes on board. Our senior leadership goes on board. Nicky Jams was on there. We have this thing called like Scarlet Night. You have a huge pool party, and then we'll invite some famous artists. Boy George was there last year on some of our ships, DJing at the party. We have like comedy festivals if you're into that. We have famous comedians in America, and we have ones in the UK. If you want to do like bar tabs, like say you just don't worry about your cost of drinks, we do like bar tabs for you, so you can do all that before you go. So there's a lot of interesting things that we can do for you before you get on board. So when you're on board, all you need to do is worry about relaxing.
That's great. That's great. This I'm really curious about. It's a huge topic for hotels right now, and that's sustainability. David, I feel like we talk about this almost every episode of the podcast, how hotels are being sustainable, but I really have no idea on the cruise side how cruise ships can be sustainable. How is Virgin focused on sustainability? Virgin Voyages focused on sustainability.
So because we're quite fortunate, we have a lot of Virgin companies who's huge on sustainability. And we work a lot with like Virgin Unite. So the first thing we do, let's talk about Virgin Voyages. There's certain ports in the world, like Port of Miami has this technology where you can basically plug in the ship and you can use electricity that's clean from the port that you're in. So instead of using your diesel engines, so basically that's like cutting emissions down by about 85%.
Wow.
So not all ports in the world have it, but all of our ships have the opportunity to plug in if that's available. So you'll start seeing no smoke coming from the ship. It's amazing that they've gone this far. We're also trying to get like a net zero footprint by 2050. So we're working with marine industries worldwide and our partners in the cruise line industry to get like sustainable fuels. Because if we can get sustainable fuels that can capture the CO2 emissions, again, that's a huge step forward. And then for what we can't do is we have with Virgin Unite in the Caribbean islands, we plant like mangroves, and that puts oxygen back into our universe. So we also look at natural. How can we offset our footprint naturally? And then we work with charities as well and try and recycle everything we have. Like when you're doing your furniture, all this stuff, sometimes it might not be good for you anymore, but it could be good for somebody else. So
Sure.
we try and do as much as we can to not discard anything and put everything like clean our footprint, basically.
Sure. I can't imagine how big that outlet is
Mhm.
in the Port of Miami to plug into a cruise ship.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then on board, we like I'll give you an example of a spa because that's one of my areas. We have Elemis in there, which is a B Corp company. They have like facial and all array of things that you can do in there, and it's really good for the environment. The way everything is naturally sourced, and I recommend anybody to visit our spas because it's very good for you also.
Awesome.
That's great. So, what technology are you seeing in cruises that you think hotels could benefit from?
One cool thing is like s- people like surprise and delights. When you go to a hotel, they want it to be like something that you can enjoy being in that space. So when you walk in for the first time in our cabin, you'll see that the lights come on with a sensor, the curtains open, the TV comes on, music starts playing. We do small things like we do like rain showers in there, mood lights. Like if you wanted to watch like a movie, you can press on your tablet, and all the lights close. It's like we have different light settings for different things, but it's also good for sustainability. So what happens is because our ships go all around the world in hot countries, once you leave that room, all the lights go off and then the curtains close. So it keeps the room cool.
Right.
So it also saves us energy on the AC. So I think hotels could benefit by, depending on where they are in the world, by little technologies like that, and it doesn't cost that much.
Very smart. So you've had a front row seat to some big shifts in hospitality. Cruises have really emerged and grown, and the market has expanded in the past few years quite a bit. What emerging trends are you seeing right now that you're really excited about?
Well, I think everyone can guess it's the AI. You know, so well, a lot of people have anxiety with it. I've worked on cruise ships now for close to 30 years, and the majority of cruise ships, 60% of your time is spent front of house, and probably the same in hotels, especially for leadership. And then 40% of your time is working on all of the admin stuff, the boarding stuff, you know, that you need to get done. Everyone can spend like billions of dollars on their hotel properties or their ships, but if you don't get the right heartbeat, which is your crew, then your experience is nothing. So what we keep saying is, if we use AI, we can increase the time from spending 60% front of house to 90% front of house, because now you have the people come from back of house into front of house. You can basically be with your sailors for us, guests for everyone else, listen to them, experience what your crew are going through with the technology that you have on hand. Plus, with AI, you can invest small amount of money that you can afford, or lots of money. So I think AI is going to help every resort, hotel, or cruise ship to increase and enhance the experience front of house.
So it seems as if this is a very important time for the next generation coming into hospitality or cruises. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking to get into hospitality or more specifically cruises?
Yeah, I would say like you've done your university, you've done everything, and you're happy. You just want to go and travel for a bit. I would recommend it highly, because if you just wanted to take a break, you could work in restaurants, you can work in casinos, you can work in spas, you can even do like theaters and show. We have a dance rehearsal. Well, we have our entertainment studio in Orlando, so there's lots of opportunities there, and all the other cruise lines do as well. So if you want to travel the world, get paid for it, learn about all different countries in the world. Because for me, because I've know a lot of people around the world, anytime I go to a country, we get to really experience it, and they tell you where to go, what to do. So it's great. I'd say travel is one of the biggest educations in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great
100%
advice.
agree. So, kind of to that point, you have traveled all over the world. What is your favorite cruise destination? Or I'll even expand that. Where's your favorite place you've ever been?
Hmm. This is a tough one. I do, I do love Hawaii. Yeah, I love it. It's beautiful. There's so many things to do there, and we used to spend like 3 days there, so that might sway my. Alaska is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the world has some amazing places, but America has some beautiful places to go to,
Yeah.
and then Australia is really cool, but it's a long, long way away. And then Europe is just full of history. Europe is just what's great about Europe. You can go there with your friends, and you can be in France one day, and then you can be in Belgium the next day. Like United States, you can drive 5, 6 hours, and we're still in United States. It's a huge country, and there's lots to do. But I would say it's good for people to travel as well. So there's lots of places to go to. But I think the most important thing is that you're with the right people.
Love that. Love that. Have you been to every continent?
Not everyone, no, not every.
No, no.
I'm
Okay.
missing little bits of Asia.
Okay. Have you been to Antarctica?
I've been to Antarctica. Yeah, we went to Chile. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. We
Very
did that
cool.
on the when we did like South America, and again, that's cool as well. South America, Argentina, Chile, it's cool. I lived in South Africa for 10 years as well. That's a beautiful country.
Wow. Very cool.
Basically, you're saying you love the world and you don't have one specific spot
No,
that is your favorite.
I would just say make sure you travel the right people. That is the key.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great advice. So can you tell us what's next for Virgin Voyages?
Mhm. Yeah, so we have another ship launching called the Brilliant Lady. That's on August 21st. She leaves out of Portsmouth, and then she'll be in New York September 3rd. We have a few days there to showcase her, and then she'll be doing out of Miami, and then we go over to the West Coast. So with the Brilliant Lady, our ships are like super yachts. So they're very wide. So we can't, our first three ladies can't fit through the Panama Canal. And if you don't go through the Panama Canal, it takes you like 3 weeks around South America. So we had to make Brilliant Lady a little bit slimmer because we wanted to show her off to the West Coast. So in 26, she'll go to the West Coast to like Alaska and like California, etc. So we're excited about that because we've
Yeah.
never got our ship over there yet.
That's great.
Wow. That's really cool. And I just have to ask this. I've personally never been on a cruise ship. Is there any tips or tricks or advice you would give to somebody who hasn't gone on a cruise? Maybe why they should go on it, or if you do go on a specifically Virgin Voyage cruise, what experience they have to do besides the spa? We're already doing that.
So our entertainment is world class. We have this show called Dual Reality, and the Red Room. Again, that's a good thing because it's a multi-function room. It can be like a dual reality. You have seats either side, and the show is in the middle, so it's very immersive. You can go as close as you want, and then we have the traditional seating where the stage is at the front, and then we have a nightclub setting where you can remove all of the seats. But dual reality, like, is the first show I know of that was created on a ship and has gone on a world tour on land. Generally, the shows are done on land and go to sea.
Sure.
Right.
So it was really cool for us to do that. So I would say you got to go to a show. So Virgin has a lot of shout outs to its brand. So like thank yous, if you will. So on deck 7, when you walk in Miami, the Virgin Record stores there, and so
Oh, wow.
you have a DJ there,
Yeah.
and then we have a 2 deck floor nightclub, and it's called the Manor. But the Manor is the record studio of where Virgin Records started.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a record called in 1973. I'm not sure how old your audience is, but the Tubular Bells by Mike Goldfield, and that was the first hit for Virgin Records. And basically, that is the sound, the theme tune for The Exorcist.
Oh, wow.
And once it came out when that movie, it was number one, I think in the UK. Not number one. It was in the top 10 for over a year. It was in the world, and that basically made Virgin Records. And then Richard Branson was traveling the world, and he found there was a gap for airlines, and they sold Virgin Records, and they created Virgin Atlantic. And then you can all of the like 40 plus brands, the going to space, Virgin Galactic, Virgin Voyages. None of this would have been created if it wasn't for that song. So he gives a shout out on our ship called the Manor to that recording studio.
That is awesome.
And there's some,
Everything is just tied in between the brands, which seems really, really cool.
yeah, there's some beautiful nights we have in there. We have comedy shows in there sometimes. We have different theme nights. It's just an amazing night there. You're not many 2 deck night floors on the cruise ship, and Virgin really knows how to do music.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Colin, thank you so much for joining us. This whole time we've been asking you the questions. So now we're going to turn the tables and we're going to let you ask David and I a question.
Oh, for David first, what has been one of your favorite experiences in a hotel?
We just came from the Hotel Lafayette in Kyoto. I think I'm saying it right. The restaurant there, I've never had an experience like that in my life. I mean, I've traveled the world, not as much as you, but I've traveled a lot and have had some pretty amazing dinners. And I think you hit it right on the head because not only was the food great, but John, Steve, and I we get along behind the scenes, and so just that night was just kind of cool, enjoying this chef prepared meal for us, and we were getting all this great attention, and everybody in the restaurant was looking at us like, "Who are these guys? They must be somebody," because the chef keeps coming to their table and checking in on them. So for me, being the old guy out of the Modern Hotelier crew, that was a really cool night.
That's cool.
Agree.
And then for Steve, I know we talked about it before, but when are you gonna come on Virgin Voyages?
Hey, whenever I might need to check out this new cruise ship. So
Yeah.
we're gonna be in Miami later this year, so we might have to work something out.
Mhm.
But hey, whenever I can, I'm gonna after this, I'm gonna chat with my wife and we're gonna look at what cruises are coming up. So we'll be in touch, Colin. Don't
Yeah.
worry about that.
But the question for you really was choices. So I know I watched one of your podcasts recently, and you were talking about choices, and it,
Mhm.
it, it resonates with us as well because we talk about high tech, and we give people that choice, but a lot of people want like just give me a piece of paper,
Right.
and give me what's going on. So I think, what is your favorite choice when you go to a hotel?
Ooh. I found this out actually recently when I was going to a hotel in Denver. I love to be sold. I love all the choices. Like I love the early check-in options. I love the upsell options before, but my favorite choice I think whenever I go to any hotels is kind of what experiences they have. Big into the food and beverage side of things. I like kind of David said when we went to Lafayette, Quixote was there, and I always love exploring kind of the hotels. And I can be a little, I could see myself being annoying to travel with because I love just to see what every aspect of the hotel or cruise ship when I come on there. My favorite experience probably is around the food and beverage side of thing, but that probably will change when I come on a Virgin Voyage and I step into the Manor and I'm in a two-star nightclub. That will probably be one of my favorite experiences.
That's cool. Well, I have to go to this Lafayette though.
Oh, it's great. When you get to the West Coast
Yeah.
for the cruise ships, you can
Yeah.
you can head into San Diego.
But our
Uh,
our food is amazing. I mean, Levi, who oversees everything, he's worked with signature chefs all around the world. It's an amazing experience, and the crew just make it. They put the icing on the cake.
Absolutely, and I remember, like, when I don't know, when I maybe was first going to hotels when I was younger, it was, like, the food and beverage for the hotels, it wasn't anything to write home about, but now we're seeing some of the best restaurants in cities are in the hotels, so it's just been really fun for me to kinda see the evolution of it, and since we go to quite a few hotels, we get to sometimes have some great dinners as well, and like David said, at the Lafayette, that was a great memory that we'll always have of us 3 hanging around and having some great meals. So, absolutely. Well, this has been great. John, our producer, he's been listening the whole time behind the scenes. So, we're gonna let him ask you one more question, Colin, and then we're gonna get you out of here.
So, Colin, you've traveled the whole world, probably many times over, had a lot of different experiences. I'm curious whether it's travel, a place, or a different experience, or whether it's like a hobby or something that you have. What has been a big influence on your role as director of operations and experience? Is there some sort of experience or something in your life that you would say is a big influence on how you approach your role?
Mhm. A big role model of mine was Steve Jobs. So what I loved about him was like no more than 3 words on a slide. Put the experience, draw the experience out. Don't put a budget on it. Like, see what you want to do from the beginning to the end, and then obviously everyone has a budget, but don't oversell something that you don't have a budget for. So I think what I learn is like I go into rooms, I listen. I read a book once. Like I left cruise ships when I was, how old was I? It was like, let's say 2011. I left cruise ships and went to the office, and
Mm.
I was listening to people in the office, and I was thinking, no wonder we can't get anything done, on the cruise ships. So I was too much ego. So I read a book by Dale Carnegie, How to Influence and Influence People. And I started like basically networking people. And rather than, let's be honest, showing them up in front of everyone, let's go and have a coffee and talk about this. And I find networking, and I always say to the teams that I work with, that don't come to me with problems, come to me with the solution that we have at the moment, and then we can work on a solution in the future. And the biggest thing I tell everyone is like, you have two ears and one mouth. So listen twice more than what you talk. And that really helped me just recently. I did a career day at my son's school for third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. I shown them the old records from Virgin. We got a captain basically to show them around one of our ships. Took him to the bridge, took him to the engine room, and then you could see they were getting a little bit bored. So then he took them to the pizza place, to the arcade we have, and the kids were like, "I thought you're an adult cruise. Why do you have ice cream? Why do you have pizza? What is going on here?" And it was really interesting to see that. And then we even got we have two astronauts did like a video for us from Necker Island, and basically one of them was an artist, and then she was saying how she became an astronaut. The other one was an engineer. So I guess what I like to do is inspire people. And like Sir Richard Branson was dyslexic; he couldn't read properly, so he had to surround himself with leaders and trust them. And that's how he's been able to build his brand, because you can't do anything on your own. So I guess you learn to listen and be a team player and decide on what experience you're going to put out in public to what your budget is.
You bet. You're definitely the coolest dad on career day, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they loved it. And we even give him lots of we do like festivals. So we had the food and beverage festival, and we had this like Asian theme, and we had all these bags, and we give out maybe like 150 bags with the fans.
Yeah.
So all the
Yeah.
kids are like flicking the fans all over the show. And I seen it, like I did this like maybe 6 weeks ago, and I still, when I drop off my kid at school, I still see the bags and the fans. And it was a cool day, but they get to see so many different careers. And in England, I never seen that.
Yeah.
Like, well, I was in school many years ago, but we didn't have it. Like, it was really cool because they had everyone there, like from all different lives. So the kids were like just really enjoying that day.
Very
That's
cool.
incredible. That's great. Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier. This is where, Colin, you can let people know how they can get in touch with you, how they can learn more about Virgin Voyages or just Virgin in general. So plug away.
Yeah. So you want to learn about Virgin Voyages, you just need to book a cruise, book a voyage, or go to virginvoyages.com. But it's an amazing experience. You'll love it. And for me, you can catch me on LinkedIn. I'm sure you'll have it in this profile.
Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate you and hope to be with you again soon. And thank you for joining us, Colin.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity. It's been amazing.
You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.